Over the years, I've been asked the same question loads of times. Can I mix riding and strength training? And if so, which order should I do it? Ride then strength, or strength then ride? Stay tuned to find out if you can mix the two, and if you can, then what's the best way to go about doing it. Hey guys, it's Ben here from the Strength Factory, and as I said at the start there, hopefully you enjoyed that, okay? Yeah, we're talking about mixed sessions, so we're mixing riding, so whether it's road or mountain bike, doesn't matter, and some sort of strength training, whether it's at home like I am now or at the gym, body weight or weights, again, doesn't matter. And a question I've had quite a few times over the years is, if I'm going to do both, should I ride and then do strength training, or should I do strength training and then ride? And then there's some people who just want to know whether it's a good idea and whether you should bother doing it together at all, or whether you should totally avoid it. So I'm going to run through all of those things now and give you some suggestions for you time crunched mountain bikers out there to get the most out of your time so you can enjoy your riding and make lots of improvements. First of all then, you know, why is this an issue? Why are people asking about it? And the answer's got to be time. Yeah, everyone's super busy. You want to ride your bike, you want to improve your fitness and have fun on your bike, but you also understand the value of being stronger, because maybe you listen to some of my stuff, okay? And I'm always going on about the value of strength training. But you've got a busy life. It's work, it's family, it's whatever it is has made you feel like you can't do strength one day, ride another day, maybe more likely in the week we're talking about here, because you just got too much on. And whilst that isn't ideal, and I would say that the best way for the best results is to separate the two things, okay, and concentrate on each session on one thing and doing it really well. But if that's all you can do, if that one night a week, like a Wednesday night, is the only time you've got and you need to do some riding and you're going to do some strength, then I'm all for it. You know, it's better than nothing. It's better than not riding. It's better than not doing any strength training. Okay then, before we get into the pros and cons of ride then train or train then ride, let's just talk about the bigger picture, the important stuff here. And if you're going to do both of these things, and let's face it, if you're doing this, it's probably going to be after work or something, then you need to get a few things right. Otherwise, it doesn't matter what order you do it in, it's going to be rubbish. All right, so number one, you need to be hydrated. You know, if you've been just sat in a dry office all afternoon, or if you've been working on your feet all afternoon in the outdoors in the wind or the sun, then you need to make sure that you're hydrating. Okay, if you start this sort of double session dehydrated, you're behind the curve straight away, your performance is going to be poor, and potentially your risk of injury is going to be increased as well. Similarly, to go with hydration, food, nutrition, fuel. Okay, what's the fuel in the tank here? If you're training, doing a double session like this after work, let's say, and you haven't eaten for 4 or 5 hours, and lunch was a crappy sandwich and a bag of crisps and a box of juice, then guess what? Your performance is going to be rubbish, okay? Again, it doesn't matter what order you do it in, it's going to be rubbish. So you need to fuel yourself up. You need to have like a good snack before you do this, an hour before. You should consider using something like an energy drink or a bar like midway through. So after you finish the first part, you get some calories on board before you do the second part, okay? That way you've got sufficient fuel on board to make sure that you can do both parts to the best of your abilities. Let's start off then with doing strength training first, and then you're going for a ride. Now, pros and cons like anything. I mean, obviously, if I bang out a load of goblet squats, my legs are going to be a bit tired. They're going to be, you know, maybe a bit achy and tired before I start the ride, and that's going to affect my ability to ride my bike. But you need to think about, what are your priorities? Are you someone who doesn't struggle to go and ride for hours and hours, and you've got pretty good bike fitness, but you need to do some strength? In which case, maybe doing that strength at the start when you're fresh is the best way for you to go if you're going to mix these sessions, okay? Because then you're going to focus on your weakness, you're going to prioritize some strength work before then going to do the bit that's easier for you. Okay, so in that situation, that person you might be better off doing a bit of strength training before you then go riding. On the other hand, a person who, you know, what you really need is more bike time and you're just trying to do a bit of strength to supplement it, I'd suggest that doing a load of squats and lunges and step ups before you go riding is probably going to be a negative thing. It's going to make your ride a lot less fun. You're probably going to cut it short and you're not going to get as much out of it. And if you're really fatigued in your legs in particular, then when you come to those downhills, which are the fun bit, you may not be able to ride it so well. You might get a bit tight and you might not be able to put your skills down, and ultimately you might crash, or you might just ride like a bit of a wobbler, okay? And that's no fun either way. So then let's talk about riding and then training, okay? So generally you're going to get back from your average mountain bike ride or roadie ride, okay? And yeah, generally most of the fatigue can be in your lower body, unless you live somewhere really gnarly and you're really smashing out the runs. But chances are that it's the lower body that's taken like most of the work there, and it's gonna take a bit out of you. But actually this way round would be my preferred way of doing a mixed session, because I think you can come back from that ride, you can have a little drink, maybe get a few calories on, and then you can still get a pretty productive strength session on. Yes, you're gonna have to slightly moderate the ride or the strength or a bit of both, but for most people here who are watching this, you're looking for, you know, some general improvements in your riding, your fitness and your health and well-being. And actually a moderate ride and a moderate strength training session is going to be great for you, okay? That's going to really help, you know. And the harder you go on the ride, the easier the strength needs to be, and vice versa, okay? So just think about what your goals are. Whilst in general I would say that whole body training sessions are the way forward, where we train the upper and lower body in one session, there are exceptions, like always, okay? And I'm going to throw one out there for you. So how about this? You go for a ride, you come back, and then you just do an upper body training session, or even vice versa. It doesn't even matter that much now. You know, you could do some good press ups and pull ups, some rows and stuff like that, hop on the bike, go and do an hour or so, and guess what? You've had pretty effective training session, and we've saved the legs for the main event, which is riding your bike. Now then, as you know, up to now my general advice has been to ride first and then do your strength training. I'm going to throw a spanner in the works as always, because there's always an exception, okay? And that is if you're going to be doing some sort of like real power based training, okay? And what I mean is like box jumps or kettlebell swings or something explosive, or maybe plyometric as well, where the focus of that strength training is to develop those powerful, explosive qualities that then transfer onto the bike and onto life. And actually, doing those after a ride, complete waste of time, okay? You're too tired, you're not going to be able to express full power, nonsense. Instead, okay, that would be some really great work to do before a ride, because if you're doing it right, it's not going to leave you sore, it's not going to leave you too fatigued, and actually, you know what? You might feel really good when you get on the bike. If you hit maybe 3 sets of box jumps and maybe a little something else in there as well, so it's like low volume, high intensity training, which is what power-based training should be like anyway, and then you get on the bike, I think you're going to feel pretty good actually, especially if you can do some then high explosive or high intensity work on the bike as well. If you were to do your box jumps and go for a 3 or 4 hour long aerobic endurance ride, well, not going to work so well. The two things, they just compete with each other, okay? But then again, if you're here watching this, and you probably don't have 3 or 4 hours anyway, so it doesn't matter. Now then, like I said, you've got to feel yourself before. If you're going to be doing the double session, no matter which way around you're doing it, no matter what you're doing, you've got to recover properly, okay? So options like a recovery shake are a great thing, okay? So you've got protein and carbohydrate in there. Protein to repair the muscles, carbohydrate to restore the carbs that you've burnt, basically, because you're riding and training, probably getting through quite a bit. And then of course, food first, okay, making sure that you get a really good meal in afterwards. There you go then, that's my thoughts on mixed training sessions where you got strength and you got riding in the same time. Look, it's not ideal, but it's, like I always say, it's better than nothing, okay? We need to stop striving for perfection and take the opportunities that we can to train, to get stronger, to get fitter, to get faster, to be happy, to be healthy, and to keep moving forward in all parts of our life. Okay, so to sum things up, I would say in general, you're better off to ride and then strength train, okay? Safer, probably for the riding part, and you're gonna get more out of both parts. But the key is, no matter which way around you do it, you've got to fuel yourself properly, you've got to hydrate, you've got to be smart, and then you've got to recover afterwards, okay? So if you've got any questions, or maybe your own situation, okay, give me a little detail down in the comments below about, you know, your schedule and things like that, and maybe, you know, what your goals are, and I'll try and give you some personalized recommendations as best I can, okay? And while you're there, make sure you hit like and subscribe and all that business there, and share this with your riding buddies. And I'll be back soon with more factory knowledge, killer information to make you better, faster, just better human and rider. Simple.